Hi guys, today I want to talk about how to spot a sick bird, the signs and symptoms, the signs that maybe your bird is feeling a bit under the weather or not feeling their very best. And also you could use this to detect whether wild birds or a bird you see on the street somewhere is not feeling the best either. And I thought of this because one of my pigeons last week was not very well. He was a bit ill, but it's okay. He's on the mend. He's almost completely better already after some medication from the vet. But I noticed that he wasn't feeling well because he was displaying some of these symptoms. So let's run through the list of the most obvious. And it's not a full list because there are a lot of things that a bird can be showing to show that it is not very well, but we'll just run through the most obvious ones and then maybe talk more about the others in another video. Now, birds really are very good at hiding when they're ill. They, it's nature, it's evolution. This sick bird will be more tempting to the predator, so birds really try to blend in as much as possible and not let anyone know that they are not feeling well. And of course our birds can't talk to us and tell us that maybe they have a headache or something like that. So by the time you notice something, it may be at quite a bad stage. And one of the first things you might notice is that the bird is tired or weary. If they are not active as they usually are, of course this refers to your pet bird, not a bird you would see on the street because you won't know his background and history. But if they're tired, if they are sitting on the low perches in a cage, if they're in a cage, or even if they're sitting on the floor of the cage, or if they live in a room on the floor, just the floor. Another very common sign is when their feathers are ruffled. So they probably be sitting low down somewhere, maybe trying to hide even underneath something or in a box. Their feathers will be ruffled. And they'll probably have an overall kind of tired or sad appearance. When you look at the eyes will be maybe not as bright as usual, maybe looking a little bit sunken. And perhaps the skin around the edge of the eye would be more visible or wrinkly as well. Usually when birds are not feeling well, they stop preening. And a normal healthy bird will preen for a considerable time every day. If you see it, they start straight away in the morning and then they preen throughout the day. They have to look after their feathers. An unwell bird will not want to do this, so they'll just be sitting there huddled up. The bird may even be trembling, that's another thing to look out for. And their voice may change, or there may be a difference in their vocalizations. This was something I noticed with my pigeon. Usually he is, saying, "This is mine," all day long in bird language, in pigeon language. Especially whenever he hears the little dove. There's like a love-hate relationship between those two. And I noticed that he'd gone quite a few hours without saying anything. That was my first signal that something was wrong. And then when he did speak, it sounded very weak and just very not good at all. So that's another signal that things are not quite right. And of course, sleeping, if the bird is sleeping more than usual, if they're sleeping in the middle of the day with their head tucked under their wing when they don't usually do that, that is a bad sign. If their poop is different or suspicious looking, then that is also a bad sign. So if you've never had a bird and you find a bird maybe that you think needs help, if their poop is kind of, if you're not used to what it looks like, then you're not going to have anything to compare it to. But if it's runny and has a strange color, maybe green, and if it smells bad, because bird poop usually doesn't smell bad at all, usually just smells like nothing, then that is a bad sign as well. There's so much we could say on bird poop, but maybe we'll leave that for another video because it's like a whole other world. There's a lot you can tell, a lot you can get hints towards just from looking at bird poop, and of course even more when you look at it under the microscope. because you can actually diagnose a couple of things just through their poop. Another point to notice, especially if it's a bird out in the wild, is if they are being harassed by the other birds. So, I suppose if other birds are keeping at a distance, but sometimes bullying or harassing the sick bird. That is what they do sometimes. And if it's the poop of your bird at home, your pet bird, just look out for any changes at all. If there's a change in the colour of it, the urates, which is the white portion of the dropping, or the urine, which is the clear liquid portion, or the feces, which is the normal, more solid, darker part, and just keep an eye out for changes in consistency as well. And of course, if there is any blood or also undigested food in the droppings, that's something to keep an eye on. And finally, we just get on to the breathing issues. A sign that there is something wrong can be seen if they are having difficulty breathing, and this ranges from very mild to severe. You might notice if your bird is a little bit unwell that their tail is bobbing as they breathe. And this is because birds have a very, very different respiratory system to ours. They don't have a diaphragm separating the upper part from the abdomen, and they also have air sacs as well, which humans don't have. So it's a very different system. And the muscles that are attached to their tail help with breathing, like with pushing the air, circulating the air around the lungs and the air sacs. So if they're not feeling very well, they're going to have to put more effort into breathing, and then this will be seen in the movement of the tail from that muscle. So it's a small sign, but it's something to really look out for. You might also notice this if a bird is about to lay an egg. Sometimes the tail bobs a little bit. They look a little bit stressed and tired as well. But sometimes you might see them gasping for air, or if they're breathing with an open beak, that is a very serious sign. You should get them to the vet immediately when they're in that state. And wheezing sounds or clicking sounds when they're breathing is something to look out for as well. Well, I think that's all of the most basic signs of when to spot if a bird is feeling a bit sick. And so for people who sometimes say that all my videos are very negative and I never make videos about anything nice, at least this is positive because Mr. Pigeon is on the mend. And also I have another bird which I'm probably going to release tomorrow. I can't remember if I mentioned him before, a wild blackbird. He's actually been with us for over a month, which is far too long because he lost some feathers from an attack by a cat. He lost so many that he just couldn't fly at all. Usually it takes 21 days for feathers to regrow, but this guy was a little bit slow. It's taken a little bit longer, so I had him on a test flight yesterday inside in a safe space, and things seem to be going well. So finally he can fly properly again, so he'll probably be released tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.